Namaste Gurukulians. So today we will start the next part of our chapter. That is the chapter we were doing habitat of the living, right? And we were discussing about the terrestrial habitats. Under the terrestrial habitats, there were various categories which we have discussed, two of them. There were mainly four categories, that is deserts, right? Forest, grasslands and mountain regions. These were the four categories, out of which the first two, that is the forest and the grasslands, we have discussed last time. Today we are going to discuss about the next two, that is on one side we will discuss about the deserts and on the other side we are going to discuss about the mountain regions, right? So firstly, let me tell you what kind of area desert is and what kind of area mountain region is, right? So deserts. Deserts are dry areas of land. We also call them as dry areas of land. Dry means scarcity of water is there, okay? It is hot during the day, and at night time it is cold, right? At night it is very cold and in the daytime it is very hot, right? So this is about desert. If we are saying it's dry area, that means we receive very less rainfall, okay? We receive very less rainfall over there. That is the reason of getting drought also. Occurrence of drought is most frequent in the desert areas, right? And you can say that due to the minimal rainfall, these places are mostly barren of vegetation, okay? Barren of vegetation means if no water is there, the plants will not get much water to grow. That means we will have lack of vegetation. The land will deprive of vegetation, right? And we can say we will have the barren land or barren of vegetation, right? The next is we are going to discuss about the plants and animals living in these areas. Plants and animals. So let me tell you the plants and animals, and we will discuss about their habitats as well. So I am writing it in two different categories here, plants here and then animals here, right? So that I can discuss it simultaneously, the two one. Plants. If I talk about the plants, which kind of plants students can grow here in the desert areas? The very first thing, ma'am, only those plants can survive which doesn't need much water, right? Only those which can grow well without water, or which have, we can say, the plants which have the capacity to reduce loss of water. Means otherwise the plants used to lose excess of their water through transpiration as well, right? But here in desert plants we will have those plants only which have the special adaptability of not losing much water into the atmosphere, right? So that means they can store the excess of food and the water inside them and they don't lose it, right? So what kind of plants? Cactus, date palm, acacia, agave, right? These are the plants which can grow in desert areas, right? Now these are the plants. What kind of adaptation these have because of which they can survive in deserts? Let me discuss the adaptations with you, right? Adaptation. Now simultaneously we will discuss the adaptation regarding animals as well. Let me tell you what kind of animals we have here in desert areas. Students, in desert areas not each and every animal can survive. It's only those who have the special adaptability to store food in their hump. For example, camel, right? They can store the food in their hump, okay? Or the animals which can hide themselves in burrows or in some places where they can hide in daytime to provide or to protect themselves from the excess of heat which is there outside, right? So that means we will say that the animals like camel, kangaroo rats, right? We will say kangaroo rats. Okay. Then next, we can say the lizards, or we can call them thorny devils. Okay, thorny devils. These kind of lizards and the rattlesnake. Rattlesnake. So these animals can actually survive in deserts because they have some special features which help them to survive in such areas which are very hot during the day, very cold in night, and which deprives of vegetation as well. That means even the animals will not have much to eat, okay, because the plants and the number of plants is less over there, okay, so they will not have that much to eat. They may need to survive many days without water even. So they must have some special features with which they can survive in such critical places which deprive of vegetation, deprive of water as well, right? So we will discuss about what extra features actually they are having because of which they can survive in such areas, right? So firstly, let me discuss with you the adaptation which are followed by plants to survive in such areas. I'll discuss one by one. For example, this cactus plant you must have observed, okay, their leaves are reduced to spines, okay. Their leaves are in the form of spines so that no excess water is lost into the atmosphere, right? And next is the very most important thing. If the plant has to survive in deserts, that means it must have long roots so that it can go deeper into the soil and can absorb water from there, right? So what we will say in case of adaptation, the first thing is they will have long deep roots, right? So that they can fetch water from the deep inside the earth. And second is they have leaves reduced to spines. Leaves reduced to spines. Third, stems. What kind of stems they will have? They will have stems, we will say fleshy stems to store food, right? To store food. For example, in cactus, okay, the leaves are reduced to spines so that no excess water is lost in the atmosphere, and their fleshy stems actually stores the food, okay. So these are the case or the adaptations of the plants surviving in hot areas, okay. So we have, or you can say the leaves are reduced or almost absent in the most desert plants, okay. Desert plants doesn't have much leaves, or we can say it is absent in case of desert plants, right. The next is the adaptations of the animals in case of deserts. What kind of adaptations they will show, okay. For animals, I am writing here on this side, for animals, adaptation number 1. For example, if I say the animals are kangaroo, rats, camels, thorny devils, rattlesnakes, what they will do? they will hide themselves in the burrows during the daytime. Okay, so we will say they will avoid excess by burrowing them, by remaining in the shade. Okay, so they remain in shade to avoid excess of heat outside. Okay, next we will say, for example, camel. Okay, having hump is store, camel hump sorry, is used to store excess food. Okay, and later on when it is deprived of food outside, okay, it's not getting much food outside, what it does, it actually use that fat which is stored in the form of food in its hump. Okay, so what we can say that a camel can survive without food or water for days because excess food is stored as fat in its hump. Okay, so we can say camel hump is used to store excess food, you can say as fats. Later on, when it is not having food outside, then it uses this fats to survive to satisfy the need of its body. What kind of need? Energy need, because its body need energy to survive, so it provides that energy by the fats which is stored in its hump. Okay, yes. So what else? We can say that it is having long thick eyelashes, long thick eyelashes, right? You must have seen that this camel having long thick eyelashes and flaps over the nostrils and flaps over the nostrils. This is also a kind of adaptation which these animals have. What they have? They have long thick eyelashes. Okay, these eyelashes are very long and thick. What is the use of having thick eyelashes? And there is a flap over the nostrils. What is the use of having flap over nostrils? Yes, let me tell you. When they are having thick eyelashes, okay, that means if they have to survive in desert area where sand is everywhere, okay, that means the same sand, when it is wind is blowing, the sand can enter their nose and can enter their eyes as well. Okay, so you can understand what can happen if the sand is entering our eyes or nose. We cannot see, we cannot smell, right? So just to avoid that thing, what the God has done, God has gifted them with the thick eyelashes and flaps over the nostrils so that the sand doesn't enter. Okay, the sand doesn't enter their eyes and nose, and these animals prevent themselves from entering the sand into their eyes and nose by the use of these eyelashes and flaps, right? So this is all about desert areas, the plants surviving over there, what kind of adaptations they follow, what is the use of this adaptation, and the animals and the adaptations followed by them, and what is the use of the adaptations by them. Yes, the next topic is mountain regions. I have told you that we will discuss the two topics, that is deserts and mountain regions. So we have discussed about the deserts. Now our next topic which we will discuss is mountain region. Let me write it here, mountain region. As I have already told you, or you know it very well, mountain regions, actually these places, mountain regions are on hills and mountains, right? Areas on hills and mountains are known as mountain region, right? They are cold and windy. We can say they are cold and windy, right? Yes. So what kind of plants and animals live over there? And what is their adaptation to live in that place? Yes. So plants, if we talk about plants, then you can say plants like pine, larch, spruce, and fir, right? These plants actually can survive in mountain areas, okay? Now, what kind of adaptation these plants actually follow? Adaptations followed by these plants are, number one, you must have seen the plants over there in hilly areas, they are in the form of cones. So what we can say? We can say the plants are in the shape of cone or cone-shaped trees exist over there with sloping branches, Now what is the use of this cone-shaped trees and sloping branches? Actually, this cone-shaped and these sloping branches helps the trees or branches to slide off extra water or snowfall so that it can prevent itself from rotting, right? So we can say it helps them to slide off snow. You only can say, because we are talking about mountain regions, so you just say about snow. Slide off snow in case of snowfall. Okay, because these are mountain regions, so obviously snowfall will be there. So just to avoid the snow, which can otherwise damage the plant if it will get stay over there. So just to slide it off, these trees are actually in the form of cone. So we call them cone-shaped trees with sloping branches, right? Next, they are having needle-shaped leaves. Needle-shaped leaves, okay? And next, these are the adaptations followed by mountain regions, right? We also can say that they are having needle-shaped leaves, okay? Because this also helps the plant to avoid the excess or loss of water, okay? Otherwise, if they are not having the needle-shaped or they are not having the cone-shaped trees, the tree may break under the weight of snow, right? The next is about animals. If we'll discuss what are the different kind of animals which exist in mountain regions, we'll say it can be yak, it can be the goats, mountain goats, right? Mountain goats, we especially name them yak, or the mountain goats, right? Or you can say the next is snow leopard. Snow leopard. So what kind of adaptations they show because of which they can survive in these areas? Yak, for example, they are having thick fur, or you can say long hair. You also can say that a yak has long hair that keeps their body warm, Next, you can say these snow leopards, okay, they are having thick fur even on their paws, right, which help them in walking over the snow, right? Next, mountain goats. Goats have strong, or we can say tough hooves, okay? which also helps them in walking over the snow. So these are the adaptations followed by the animals, right? So in this lecture today we have discussed mainly about the deserts and the mountain regions, right? Next time we will discuss about the aquatic animals only, okay? So our next lecture might be short. These two topics you have to discuss, or you have to go through from your books as well, okay? Just try to understand as much as you can, and if any query you can ask me in the WhatsApp group, okay? Thank you. Have a nice day. Just enjoy your time. Keep on watching the videos and learn the lecture as much as you can.